Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Colin Jost, and we have no Michael Che. In the news this week, osteomyelitis, the infection of the bone. One of the oldest diseases known to man, evidence has been found in the fossil record beginning at the Triassic period 250 million years ago, incidentally, just after Cocaine Mitch was first elected to Congress. Speaking of fossils, this week our beloved President Trump, seen here gazing longingly at what he calls the big, beautiful bill, fell victim to the disease, a shocking departure from administration policy where typically we'd expect President Trump to be the one entering bodies without consent. Here with her side of the story is the staph bacteria responsible for the infection. Alright, Ms. Staphylococcus, how is it that you came to enter President Trump's body?
Well, Colin, as a bacteria spread by direct contact, I transfer by touch, say, hand-to-hand contact, and spread around the skin. I linger there until the skin is broken, in this case, through the right earlobe.
Ouch.
Once I made it in there, I simply traveled through the bloodstream, which, let me tell you, not easy, to a long bone, in this case a femur, where slowed blood flow in the metaphysis encourages depositing.
Wow, quite the achievement. Can any other bacteria accomplish it?
Yes, Colin. Lots of other bacteria can cause osteomyelitis, but they have to get in the body some other way. I'm always competing with streptococcus, for example.
Yeah, that's right. Unlike you, streptococcus bacteria enter mainly through the mouth, making them the second most dangerous thing to enter Mr. Trump's mouth after former President Bill Clinton. According to my notes, bacteria like streptococcus that live around the mouth can find an in when damage like a jaw fracture occurs, an injury which Mr. Trump sustained after hitting his head on the underside of the desk. One of the symptoms of such an infection would be the inability to close the mouth, or in other words, business as usual for President Trump. So, how did the White House doctors come to diagnose the president with osteomyelitis?
Well, the first steps are usually physical exams, and then blood tests to identify the bacteria, like me specifically. After that, though, the most reliable techniques are CT and MRI bone scans.
That's right. With more on his results, the president.
President Trump, any comment on your recent medical examination?
I got an MRI. It was great. The doctor said it was the best MRI they've ever seen. Quite frankly, nobody does it like me. I do the best MRI.
Yes, Mr. Trump. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
So why did you choose Mr. Trump specifically to infect?
Well, Colin, firstly, osteomyelitis is known to affect men more than women, which the president today called, quote, rigged and very woke, elaborating sexism should only work one way, when questioned by reporters. Also, heavy catheter use is known to be a risk factor for an infection like me, as it introduces bacteria directly into the body. It's also known to affect people over the age of 50, making me right at home in Washington.
So could you tell me a bit more about the symptoms you cause?
Well, primarily osteomyelitis is known to cause excruciating bone pain, a feeling which Republican Congress members have avoided as their spines all dissolved in November 2016.
Excruciating bone pain, incidentally, also a symptom of his herpes diagnosis. Luckily, his cabinet members can likely sympathize with the leg pain he's feeling, considering how much time they spend on their knees. And because I'm sure the current Department of Health can't, on a scientific level, can you tell us what causes these effects?
Well, after the bacteria is deposited at one of the body's long bones, it spreads to the bone marrow and is internalized by bone cells, evading the body's immune response almost as well as President Trump has thus far evaded releasing the Epstein files.
That's right. Your body begins to eat away at its own bone structure fighting the infection, or, as Cocaine Mitch calls it, Tuesday. Luckily, Trump's body doesn't seem to mind, as eating away at bones is something it's become quite experienced at. I hate to suggest this, but like it or not, the president has access to the best medical care available, and deportation is kinda his thing. How do you anticipate they'll treat this infection?
Thoughts and prayers. No, obviously not. The main treatments include long-term antibiotics, pain management, if you're willing to risk catching autism, and often surgery. According to White House doctors, the president has, quote, concepts of a plan to begin a round of dicloxacillin treatment this week.
And what are the consequences of leaving it untreated?
As a last resort for severe osteomyelitis, amputation can prevent persistent spread, an eventuality for which Elon Musk has been preparing.
Are you worried at all that this high-profile infection will bring awareness to prevention strategies and hinder your spread?
Come on, Colin. The best defense against infection is good old-fashioned hand washing. Knowing this administration, I'm not exactly shaking in my boots.
Very good point. According to Secretary of Defense and sixth in line for the presidency, Pete Hegseth, quote, "I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real." That last part, incidentally, the same logic Melania uses to justify her life decisions.
I think I'll be alright.
According to the two researchers who still have a job at the NIH, osteomyelitis has a pathogenicity rate of 21.8 cases per 100,000 people per year. That's 75,000 Americans annually, although, according to the administration, 74,000 were fraudulently reported by illegal immigrants. Any comment?
Look, Colin, I don't check citizenship status. I'm a staph infection, not ice. Call me a Venezuelan gang member the way I'm about that illegal immigration.
Staphylococcus, everybody. Nice try. For Weekend Update, I'm Colin Jost. Good night!